everyone, Tom here, Battle Rap Resume, here for a quick episode, just a quick solo episode to kick off the new year, I suppose, in a certain way. Happy New Year. Working on a lot of concepts for 2018. Obviously, Battle Rap Resume episodes are going to keep coming regularly every week, and, you know, Mastermind and previews and all that cool stuff. But some other ideas I've been working on as well, like an idea that I think it was Joe Moon originally, shout out that guy. I think he emailed me this about a year ago or so. He asked me to do episodes just recapping entire events, you know, and going through all the battles at said event. And I love the idea. I was too lazy to do anything with it for a while, but I'm actually working on 2 episodes at the moment. They're going to come out that lead a little bit on today's episode as well. That being a 4th birthday recap of both days with Kieran Keller. Really looking forward to that, recording that very soon. And Pamphlet, weirdly, in some sort of synchronicity stuff, just reached out to me as I was doing the 4th birthday episode, asked me if I wanted to do To The Test 10-7, same concept. So really looking forward to that. Obviously, always great to have Pamphlet on board. So yeah, I've been kind of watching a lot of the battles and thinking thematically to a certain extent about events as a whole and reminiscing. And I thought I'd just do something quite quick, quite sort of rough. I sort of made the list this afternoon. Top of my head, I haven't really thought too deeply about it. It's more of an instinct thing. Going to do my top 10 don't flop events. So I'm going to go from 10 to 1. I'm going to rank them and just go through, you know, what I like about them, what battles that went down. Please comment below, I should say as well. What is your top 10 don't flop events? Let me know, because this was difficult to do, to be honest with you. And I could probably make another 10, or I could shuffle this up a little bit. Like, you know, I've sort of settled this just to have something to discuss here. But please, you know, debate, consult below. Let me know, because I'm definitely intrigued. There's lots of ones that I haven't included that I know a lot of people will be like, what the, you know, and I get that. I do get that. But sometimes you've really got to, like, there's been certain events, say Manchester versus London, where I'm like, I only probably like Tony versus Shotty off that event, really. Like, you know, whereas a lot of these that we're going to get into, such as a spoiler, of course, I'm going to talk about Sunburn 2, which is amazing. You know, there's just so many battles on that in comparison, so you kind of have to go with that. But it is personal. You know, I'm not trying to offend anyone here, but I don't really care. You know, it's a top 10 don't flop list. So let me know below, what are your top 10 favourite don't flop events? Just before I get into this as well, you know, Battle Rap is in this very vorticist, you know, flux state at the moment. It's very hard to predict. It's very interesting. Lots of leagues springing up quickly and powerfully. You know, everyone from Shotty to Blunt Ted. The landscape is changing. But, you know, doing these, and I know I shouldn't really forget about them, but doing these and looking at these cards and thinking about them, I was like, fucking hell, don't flop with the Kings. But they still are. You know, obviously Don't Flop are still my favourite league. And I think maybe I'm, you know, individual in this, but, you know, I think some people might have slightly forgotten how fucking incredible, you know, what they put on here. And going through, looking at these cards, it just makes me quite excited. Like, I don't know if anyone feels the same way, but I guess it's like, you know, a football fan who appreciates the publications or the terraces or just something individually domestic about where they're going, something familiar. For me, it's the flyer. It's Don't Flop, you know, an event coming out or something being teased on Twitter or whatever, and just seeing suddenly this influx of matchups. And even now, when obviously I know what goes down, looking at these cards, you know, looking not only at just the designs, but just having the battles there to watch, you know, in the future, knowing that they're going to go down. Unfortunately, looking at these, a few of these didn't go down, but we'll get into that as well. But yeah, we'll get into it. Number 10 is Blood in the Water 5. This went down Saturday the 19th of November on Sunday the 20th as well. It was a weekend event. This is an incredible event, really, from an unbelievable year for Don't Flop. Like, you know, from here, there were just giant card after giant card, you know, huge matchups, you know, just quality of battling, just absolutely out of this world, really. And that's not to say they weren't doing it before, but here we just see a step up. We see almost an aggressive kind of, you know, territorial thing here where there's so many internationals. It's kind of bombards you when you look at these cards. But yeah, anyone that's seen this event knows it was an incredible event, not just for Blizzard versus Mark Grist, which is probably the most familiar one for you here. I love the way this is shot as well. It has that sort of Twitter wall in the background, which you can't really read, like, when you're watching it. It seems like there isn't much there, but it's sort of gloriously 2011. There was also an awards ceremony at this, but unfortunately captured on camera, but when you click on the link, it's unlisted, which is only something a fucking battle rap nerd like me would know. But yeah, annoying that that doesn't exist. Kruger, if you have it backed up somewhere, please put it back online. But yeah, this altogether is remarkable. You know, there are some interesting battles as well. Soul versus 24/7, which didn't kind of go off as well as it could do, but you had the Chris Lees versus Im. You had the title match there as well. You had a ton of 2-on-2 battles, including O'Shea and Uno teaming up. You also had Pamphlet and Stowaway teaming up against Real Deal and Fresco. On day 2 as well, which consisted mainly of the bigger battles there. Lunacy versus Uno was huge. Sensor versus Arcane. Johnny Storm versus Sharon. Had Sharon on recently. That was a fucking great episode. We spoke about that battle. He didn't want to speak about that battle. He wasn't that happy about that battle, but nonetheless, a fantastic battle. Psychosis versus Tantrum. Yunnan versus Shazam, which is a little bit slept on as well, but that's an interesting one. Cool to see Harry Love DJing there as well. So yeah, I think Blood in the Water, it's one of these kind of marquee early events. Notably as well, you see visually, it's aged really well. It seems as fresh as kind of modern battle rap, or if you go a little further back into early Blood in the Waters and stuff, it can look a little bit kind of budget. But, obviously the quality's still there and it adds a charm to it. But I think visually, as well as just in terms of the, conception of this event, it was fantastic. Number 9 for me is Distinction. I guess another earlier event in the span of, depending on when you got into battle rap. But I think, again, this was really reaffirming in a post-4th birthday, post-Blood in the Water 5 age of the International that, they could put on a really, really interesting homegrown card. Obviously there are, I think, Uno's out there, I think, is the only sole International. But, it's just remarkable. We have the Tony D versus Definition title match, which, shout out Def, my Watchman co-host. It's odd to see him battle Tony. Like, obviously, I've seen the battle a lot. I remember watching it in the front room of our flat in Liverpool, and my friend Dave, God bless him, I used to put on battles all the time, and I remember he was kind of half interested when we first started watching it, but then I went way further, and I remember us watching this battle together, and he was like, what's going on? It all changed from a landscape for him, and he wasn't quite sure. And shout out Def, shout out Tony as well. I'm sort of rambling here. Mickey versus Archaic, fucking hell, man, that is a crazy body, but Mickey's valiant in it, don't get me wrong, and the after interview, Mickey is incredible in that with Steph as well. Mixie versus Briggsy. Oh, Mixie bodies him. Been rewatching this because obviously me and Briggs is happening very, very soon. Are people excited about that, by the way? Are people ready for what that's going to be? I don't know what it's going to be. I'm fucking nervous, man. But January 20th, Code Red. Shout out to all the guys there. Mickey versus Briggsy. And of course, all the doubles battles as well. This was kind of the start of the 2-on-2 tournaments. You had everything from Dialect and Zen versus Ricky C and Crisis Music to C Major and Cracker, really showing off there. Bowski and Big Sarters versus Crisis and Mike T. That's a good battle. Actually, Shufflo with Gibbo. Chris Lees and Yunnan, of course, as well. Just, Matter versus Youth Oracle. To a certain extent, this episode is going to be me just listing battles in a kind of bemused state, but I hope you'll sort of, get what I'm trying to come across here. Number 8 for me is Summer Standard. This season's a little bit later in 2013. This is from Saturday 20th to Sunday 21st of July. Brixton Jam, Soul Most Prob goes down here, the sort of event I'm talking about here. I just think the vibe's really cool as well. Everyone seems to be just wearing sort of various Hawaiian themed garments. Matter versus Ogmios is sensational. So I think Ogmios is incredible in that battle. I think he's truly, truly a wonder. Double L versus J90 as well. Toucan versus Big J. Love this event. Probably most for Soul versus Most Prob and Villain versus Yunnan. I just think those are absolutely incredible battles. Bleak versus Mr. Tongue Twister as well. An awesome battle. Definitely love that one. Peace Soldier tried out there. Hulk, Zen versus Im. All together, really, really good card. Number 7 is Set the Standard 10. I remember this went out immediately after 5th birthday. I think they announced it maybe the next day or the next weekend or something. And I was really like, bloody hell, because I'd been to 5th birthday the Saturday, and loved that event. I thought it was a great event. It doesn't actually make my top 10, I should say, as a spoiler there. Not in my top 10. But nonetheless, a really, really good event. And this came very hot on the heels, as I say, and I love everything about this event. It feels like they kind of transmitted that birthday atmosphere into Jam. Like, it's kind of hard to explain, but it definitely had a higher level, a higher edge to it. And I think there were some lows to this. I think stuff like Youth Oracle versus Roan was a little disappointing. I think Im versus Old English as well, especially considering Old was coming off the Soul battle. It's Im, it's a Soul battle, but I don't think his Im material was necessarily up to that scope. But there are some incredible high points. Everything. Soul's Lopeshi against Lopeshi. He just really kind of puts on a clinic there, and it's quite embarrassing. And there's an abundance of wire bars as well, so that's always good. From biggest robbery in Don't Flop history. I know me and Jacob spoke about this on our episode a little while, but definitely check out that top 10 Don't Flop robberies. But Mr. 13 versus Caustic, which I love that battle. I think maybe it's Caustic's best performance. I think I said that on the episode, but yeah, love Caustic in that. Mark Grist is great. He bows out against Nameless. Love that one. We get the whole Don't Flop drama, which had been ignited in 5th birthday. So that was definitely intriguing. C Major and Cracker versus Archaic and Skirmish. Oh my god, C Major and Cracker are fucking incredible. I remember telling C, I think I told Cracker as well, how much I love this battle. And they were both a bit kind of, downplayed it. But no, I think it's majorly impressive. Especially the respect that Ark and Skirms gives C when he gets into his full flow. Because it is irresistible and, unbelievable. Love that battle. Big J versus Lefty. It's a kind of funny, kind of by the wayside kind of battle. You might not have seen that battle, but definitely very interesting. Definitely very vintage J in the third, especially. And of course we get Shufflo. We get an incredible Shuffalo performance. We get probably post their greatest performance ever against the aforementioned C Major and Cracker. That's personally my favourite Shuffalo performance. I think it's just, timeless. They're awesome against Marvin Quest. It was one of those matchups early on before you knew the sort of sheer versatility of Shuffalo. Now they can sort of battle anyone, and it'd be like they battle gun titles. It would make sense. But yeah, no, Shuffalo and Marlowe here are absolutely invincible. Ogmios versus Real Deal. Ogmios gets points for probably the best wire bar ever, the Presbalewski bar. Outstanding. But yeah, Real Deal is growing on me a lot as a battler, actually. It was great to have him on the show, and not that I disliked him necessarily, but I just didn't watch as much of his stuff. But this is one that I saw early on. This is one that I really, really admired. Style clash, London's Calling. The Youth versus Rowan. Oh, Yunnan versus Chris Lees, of course. Probably the best Yunnan performance, I would say, over 3 rounds. Again, you need that narrative, you need that story. This matchup making sense off the back of the 2-on-2 betrayal off the Chris Lees Tony battle, where Yunnan gets mentioned. You've got to sort of answer those calls, and Yunnan did it similarly with Villain as well. And I love this battle. I think Chris is good. I think Chris can be, when he's on his A game, he can be absolutely lethal. Sometimes he's a bit loose and not as rehearsed. It's not as compelling as Yunnan, who really gives a steely, determined glare there. Fucking love this battle. Love Set the Standard 10. Number 6 is Sunburn 2. This went down Saturday the 5th of September to Sunday the 6th, 2015. This is an absolutely outstanding event. The precedent set by Sunburn was rich. I love the venue of Sunburn as well. I'm not quite sure where that is, but you know what I'm talking about, crazy shit. It's just a raised platform. But anyway, Sunburn 2, we're back in familiar territory. It's Jam. I think Sunburn 2 benefits from real rich period in Doneflop's history. You had the sort of top tiers becoming, shuffled to avoid a pun there. But, you had Raptor coming through there. You had Shovel T heading up cards. You had all this talent. You also had the older guys coming back into the fray. You had Wizard and Pamphlet. And you also had a dope sort of, lower tier, not meant in an offensive way, but, you had Crafty, you had Heretic, you had J Red and J Dillon. And it's just, as an event, overflowing with stupendous battles. Obviously, Raptor gives his greatest performance ever against Tony. That's one of the best Doneflop battles ever. That's fucking outstanding. Marlo versus Pedro is a hoot. Wizard versus Ogmios was one of those, I remember following the battle at the time on Twitter, I think. It must have been battlerap.com, or maybe Callum was doing the updates, I'm not sure. But bare head against the wall like a hunter's lodge was something that has been lodged forever, really. Big J and Lefty versus Matter and Peace, all the way through. I think Crafty versus Jay Short was... I remember I bought the pay-per-view when I got back, and that was the first battle that I watched. I was really excited to watch the battle because I've been such a huge Crafty fan, and Jay Short as well, but I knew this would be a good match for them, and I knew, Jay Short was a few tiers above Craft, and I love that battle. Probably the best Craft performance, I would say, as well. I'm giving a lot of people their best performances here, but this is why the cards are great. What makes them so revisitable is the quality that runs through it, and, Archaic versus Tally is excellent, Juan versus Soldier, Pamphlet versus Harry Baker is outstandingly good. I think Pamphlet was one of the best he's ever been in that battle. Pamphlet really went toe-to-toe with Harry on everything, on the aspects of the character, on the hilarity, on the wordplay, on all the things these guys do. So, yeah, shout out to Sunburn 2. Number 5 is Next in Line, the original Next in Line. I know these aren't technically Don't Flop, but, they're released on the channel. So, yeah, but shout out to Danny and Ryan and everyone at Next in Line. October the 22nd, 2016. It's Next in Line 1, I should say. Yeah, probably definitely the best event I've ever been to, because basically the ones that come following I've only experienced through the dear YouTube, like most of you. But yeah, going to this event was such a treat, and I think similar to Sunburn, it kind of meshed, perfectly. That's what Training Days is to a certain extent. It was kind of taking top tiers and putting them in small rooms, but also kind of disregarding tiers to a certain extent, including, the up and comers, those who hadn't even battled on a stage before, so exciting. Bricks and Jam, it was absolutely packed. Everyone was just, on the edge of their seat, really, because Tony D versus Shocks the Rebel is just, you don't need any other battle that day, but we got so many good ones. JBJ Short, unfortunately, had to go outside, but that was outstanding. Gem versus Take No Talks, I think Gem's just, out this world in that one, and it just swallows that choke. Not that it even matters, because I'm not a guy that a choke ruins anything, but it really just is a masterclass. It just has so many highs and lows. It's just absolutely fascinating, and the crowd are on every word. Shout out Roars, I think he's on the edge of the Yoshimitsu punch, and it just makes it. Carbon versus Tooth, J-Verg versus Catnip, Topher versus Scott Early, really, really good kind of people coming up there. Shame that Templar Surfer versus Dank Shredder couldn't go down. Woolsey versus Scoop as well, of course, announced Scoop, on the big stage, and he's been going from strength to strength ever since. So yeah, Next in line was just gold throughout the entire day. Lazy Ice Jack versus A as well, which is, I love that battle. Such a brilliant style clash. And both of the guys really write for each other so intently. And, Lazy's my guy. And, A is just outstanding as well. A, I need to apologise to, because we did a fucking Battle Rap Resume episode, and I'm an idiot, and it accidentally got deleted. So we're going to do it again. It was such a good episode as well. I hate when that happens. I'm so responsible still. But if you want to support me, patreon.com/Battle Rap Resume. But yeah, next in line is, I can always get in somewhere. Next in line is number 5. 4 is To The Test 10. Yet another absolutely unbelievable event. 4th of Feb, 2012. The ascension continues. I think logically 4th birthday is a chrysalis point at the end of 2012 that kind of flush off the Grist Luna hype. This just, yet again, was just an unbelievable set of 2 days, really. You've got everything from Nils and Uno to the greatest try ever, Dialect versus Double L. Mark is back versus Zane. Matter versus Fredo. ZT versus Pamphlet. Pamphlet's fucking excellent in that. We get Luna and Matter. Luna's last performance before the return against Philly Swain and Zim. Mickey versus... Stacked card, really, really awesome card. And I think, Tony D versus Seuss as well. Love that battle. Tony D looking so high in the thumbnail, God bless him. But yeah, I think just for pure atmosphere, this ranks so highly for me. The crowd is huge. I think the crowd were it was 16 and under or something, and that really worked to the advantage. There were so many people there, so many excited people there as well. And just looking back into the eaves, you can just see everyone listening and hanging off the words, and everyone on stage as well. It's just such a brilliant era for faces and stars and names. And it is just more exciting to a certain extent. Shout out Battle Rap in 2018 as we are now, and it is still at that level. But there's a kind of a matey, when I say a sort of infectious chumminess, which makes it sound very regal. But you've seen these battles, you know what I'm talking about. To The Test 10 is incredible. Okay, we get to the top 3 now. Number 3 for me is Checkpoint 1. The first checkpoint. This went down in 2013, Saturday, 27th of April. What a fucking card this was. What a statement. Such huge names. Arsenal versus DNA, which, again, should have went down on any stage. Could have went down on a URL stage, UW stage, whatever. But, Dome Flop snapped it up. And I love that battle. I love DNA's R's scheme, ARS. I do like even though you can't really understand what he's saying at the end. Again, I love it. And I think the crowd, similar to Distinction, play into it well. Tony D versus Clips, very much redemption for Tony D, and I think he showed out fantastically. Long battle, this one, actually. Maybe a little too long, but, quality writing-wise, definitely on Tony's part is, remarkable. Yet still, Kruger versus Conceited is a Stone Cold classic. What can you say about this battle? Everyone's so hyped for it, to see Kruger, not even Kruger get this opportunity, because Kruger's a legend, Conceited's a legend, but just to see them face off, in such unusual circumstances, and it just plays so well. Yunan and Chris Leafs versus DNA and Clips, less so, as discussed in, the Set the Standard 10 battle. Yunan had said that, they knew they weren't going to do anything, they should have just freed, but no, Lease kind of compelled him to do otherwise. Grist and Mixie versus Scissors and Wizard as well. So yeah, spoil of riches, Checkpoint 1. And it just felt huge. It just felt like a real kind of, movement to higher levels. And, arguably this era, this 2013 era for Don't Flop was, the high watermark. Number 2 for me is the follow-up, Checkpoint 2. For me, this stands out really for kind of 3-4 battles here, namely Soul versus C Major. I cannot get over the way this battle is shot. I think it looks absolutely epic, like the kind of middle stage in the, with everyone crowded round, the spotlight, kind of they're performing a much higher level than everyone else. There's this kind of towering aesthetic, and just these guys meeting at this moment, was, I still think Soul takes it pretty cleanly. I don't think it's that contested. I think C Major is absolutely fantastic in it nonetheless, but I think Soul is probably his best ever here, and I just have watched his battle umpteen times, more than probably any other of the card. But Dutz versus Sharon, O'Shea versus Luna, Shuffle versus 100 Bullets as well. Yunan versus Gemini, of course. Yunan versus Gemini. I always say your Thomas Crown Affair bar is one of the greatest bars I've ever heard. You have, Yunan misquoting some Top Gear as well. I think Yunan's pretty good, and I don't have a problem with Stick a Pyramid into his ribs. Don't have a problem with it, but shout out those who do. Comment below. Also, let me know, of course, your top 10 Don't Flop adventures before we get to number 1. But yeah, number 2 is Checkpoint 2. Again, for me, it's just, a real sense of theatre about the thing, and it's just compelling. Always compelling. Just before we get to number 1, let's repeat from the top. Number 10 was Blood in the Water 5. Number 9 was Distinction. Number 8 was Summer Standard. Number 7 was Set the Standard 10. Number 6 was Sunburn 2. Number 5 was Next in Line. Number 4 was To the Test 10. Number 3 was Checkpoint 1. Number 2 was Checkpoint 2. Number 1 is obviously Fourth Birthday. Has to be Fourth Birthday. I would be very surprised if Fourth Birthday isn't in everyone's, top 2 or top 3. Everything about this I think everyone loves. From the designs, I love the green, I love the way I love the opening graphics and the music, and it just dates it to such a great period in my life, I suppose, as well, looking back in a sort of Freudian way, but in Battle Rap's life as well. There's so many fucking good battles, Santa versus DNA. It was one of those ones where you had the debut, the exciting debut of all these internationals, and they showed out. Arguably it's the greatest Arsenal ever against Shotty, certainly the greatest Shotty. I love that battle. Carlos versus Villain also on that day. You had Psychosis Holocaust versus Madness movie battle, which was really fun. Ogmios versus Adam the Rapper. Pedro versus Enigma, similarly. The sort of opening battles in each day of kind of the up and coming. How good Pedro, Enigma, Adam the Rapper, and Ogmios are your new talents. I mean, arguably kind of Pedro and Adam at that point was slightly more established, but nonetheless the kind of the up and comers on the card, the warm up are insane. 100 Bullets versus Bam, which is, I can't remember who said this on the show, but this battle was being the sort of door that opened the UK to sort of associative wordplay and its pleasures and pains. So shout out to that battle. Death versus Mark Grist, DK versus Uno, Osha versus Stoney. Fourth Birthday is fucking ridiculous, and of course there's loads that I'm missing out. 5th, 6th, 7th birthday, 6.5 birthday as well. Don't Flop USA. I don't really know the names of those cards, but I know they did a Chicago one and various others, so shout out to those. Raise the Bar, April Fool's Blam, all hail these, and more. Let me know. Maybe you fucking love Set the Standard 2, or I'm trying to think what's a bad Don't Flop event. I guess Sunburn 3 wasn't great. It wasn't great on camera, for sure. But, there are often these fallow periods. And today's episode has been about celebrating the incredible things that Don't Flop did. And, regardless of what's going on now, and it's very sad what's going on now, as a fan, but you can look back and, as a fan yourself, you can just relive these memories. And let me know below. I do genuinely know, what are your top 10 Don't Flop events? Get at me as well, battlerapresume@gmail.com. If you want to come on the show, if you want to just let me know about what you think about the show, what you hate about the show, get in touch with me there at battlerapresume on Twitter. If you want to support, you can also go on to iTunes and leave us a review. It's really, really appreciated. Those help push us up the algorithms. Patreon.com as well, of course. Patreon.com/battlerapresume. Basically give back to the show and get access to lots of stuff on there that hasn't, is yet to come out on the YouTube channel. Lots of interviews on there at the moment. We've got, who do we have? Shonda Rhimes. We've got Sharon on there. ARP, Bill Collector. Had some really cool guests lately, so definitely check those out. They'll be coming out on the channel soon as well. We're doing beanies. We're doing merch. Battle Resume merch is going to launch very, very soon. I'll put the Big Cartel link in the description as well to let you know where to find that when it comes along. But yeah, just sort of you can find pictures of the merch as well on our Twitter, which is at battlerapresume. Thank you guys for listening to me jabber on here about my favourite events. I hope you've enjoyed it, and leave your list below, please. Very interested in what you say. Maybe we'll go through in a future episode what your favourite lists are. If you can leave in descriptions as well. Actually, it might be better if you can email in battlerapresume@gmail.com if you want to do it a bit more long form rather than a comment. It's up to you. But yeah, let me know what your favourite events are, why, what you talk about them. And yeah, this is Tom. Thanks again. Bye.